What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of NBA action here on Thursday, January 9th. We're going to break down every NBA game tonight and look at bets on the side and over-under, and make sure to check that pinned comment throughout the day to see if there are any changes as injury news and player availability is confirmed throughout the afternoon. Yesterday did not go amazing, guys, unless we see some miraculous turnarounds here. We did start off things well. The big game of the night was the Cavaliers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. We were on the Cavs -2. Due to some great shot making, an amazing basketball game, best game to watch of the year so far by far, in my opinion. Cleveland came away with a comfortable win there in the end, so we'll take that. But other than that, a bleak night. The Raptors were right there with the Knicks basically the whole game. End up eventually losing by 14 to brick out that play. The Pelicans absolutely did not show up. I thought they would have a lot more motivation now that Zion is back, even though he didn't play in this game. That was not the case. The Spurs +5.5 looks like it's not in great shape, but it's definitely not a play that's dead. They're still very live there in the third quarter. But the Clippers, once again, completely not showing up for us in a game that we added in late because Jokic was scratched. He wasn't even going to be playing. I thought the Clippers would take advantage, and they have so far completely laid an egg, and that's in the fourth quarter. So the odds of that one ending up being a win are very, very bleak. So guys, I would love if you would like the video. A pity like would be very much appreciated because my goodness, things did not work out for us yesterday. It still shows support for the channel and all the hard work I put in every single day. Also, please subscribe so you don't miss out on these daily videos. This is a new channel, a new-ish secondary channel. Hopefully it's a secondary channel. So please hit the subscribe button. Check down there. Make sure you're subscribed because a lot of you I know are not subscribed right now. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today. I respond to every single comment every single day. Not very many YouTube channels do that. I do that every single day. I'm committed to responding to every one of your comments. So let me know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, guys, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. We're in for a big bounce back in this one. Let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Toronto Raptors going on the road to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Toronto comes into this game fresh off of kind of giving up there at the end against the Knicks. Not an amazing showing by the end of the game, although they were right there for a large chunk of it. At only 8-29 on the season, it's not like Toronto has a ton to play for, but we'll see if they can turn it on a little bit in this one. Scotty Barnes, 18 points, quickly 22 points, but despite shooting 40% almost from three-point range, they just could not keep pace there against the Knicks. Despite the Knicks only shooting 36% from three-point range, not some amazing shooting night. We just saw Toronto come out kind of flat there in the third quarter and not do much better in the fourth quarter. So, yeah, their second half play just really didn't look great. Grady Dick continues to really flounder. He only played 20 minutes in the game, so we'll be checking his injury report for sure. But 1 of 6 from the field, 3 points, not a good game at all from him. And RJ Barrett normally turns up there at Madison Square Garden. A -18, 16 points for him. So not a good day there from the Raptors at all. We were definitely hoping for much better showing from them, at least a 3-point better showing to get us the win. But what are you going to do? They come away with a loss there. They come into this game looking like they're going to be healthy. The entire starting lineup's ready to go. And when you look at a starting lineup of, Quickly, Dick, Barrett, Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl, you would think that would be a pretty good starting 5, and this would be a team that could win some games, but that just hasn't really been the case recently. So we'll see if they've got a bounce back in them. It's not going to be an easy team to bounce back against as they go on the road here to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are fresh off of that massive, massive win last night, guys. They, beat the best team in the NBA. Probably they beat a team who's on a 15-game winning streak at 32-4 on the season. They're looking like the best team in the league. And there's not really much of a case to be made against it. They've already beaten the Celtics this season, and they've beaten the Thunder now. Who can claim to be better than the Cavaliers? So loved what we saw from the Cavs last night, especially how well they were able to play despite, Donovan Mitchell having a terrible, terrible shooting night. He scored 11 points. He was 3 of 16 from the field, but he was still a +8. The starting unit just looked very, very good. We liked what we saw from Ty Jerome. He had a crazy, crazy stretch. I think he made 5 straight buckets or 6 straight buckets or something like that without a miss. Very good stuff from him. Max Strus shot the lights out, guys. 5 of 6 from 3 from him. Kind of making this a decent shooting night from what would have been an amazing shooting night there from Cleveland without him. Just good stuff up and down the lineup. Garland hit some tough buckets. Mobley made some great plays down the stretch and had 21 and 10. An amazing, amazing game from Cleveland. Now, the challenge for them in this one will be to not come out flat the night after such a huge, huge emotional win and, a kind of playoff-like atmosphere. Right now, the injury report looks like it's completely clean. Nobody's going to be sitting out the second half of this back-to-back. I don't necessarily think that's a lock to be the truth, though. So we'll see what happens. I think there's, a clear possibility they could end up resting guys or something like that. But they haven't really been doing that this season. They definitely seem like a franchise that's valuing the regular season right now. So we'll see what they can get done here. The Cavs are 15.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 234.5. Toronto 8-9 against the spread on the road. They're 5-2 against the spread this season on no rest. They are also 19-18 to the over. Cleveland 14-6 against the spread at home. They're 5-2 against the spread on no rest, and they're 23-8 against the spread coming off a win. They're also a huge over team, guys. They are 24-12 to the over. So you could definitely maybe take a look at the over in this game. I think we could see a decent amount of offense. I don't think that's going in the pinned comment though. Unfortunately, guys, and I don't want this to be the way I'm feeling, but I really think we need to look at taking the Raptors getting 15.5 points in this one. Cleveland's not having to travel here. That's true. Toronto is only having to travel from New York, so it's not like that's a long trip from Cleveland to New York, so not a terrible travel spot. They're a young team with young legs. Once we have confirmation that Toronto is not resting a bunch of guys, and maybe Cleveland will be, we're definitely going to want to look at taking Toronto, getting 15.5. That is a ton of points. So give me the Raptors in this one. It's another one of those hold your nose and take it situations, but I think we've got to be on the Raptors. Next on the docket, guys, we get the floundering Golden State Warriors going on the road to take on the Detroit Pistons. The Warriors have now lost 2 in a row and 3 out of their last 5. That last loss was really disappointing. Steph seems like he is just sick to his stomach about this whole situation. They can't beat even these bad teams. Like, it's getting pretty embarrassing. I'm not saying the Heat are a terrible team, but they were coming off a double overtime game, and the Warriors end up losing by 16 while playing at home. Like, that is for sure an embarrassment. Steph played fine in the game. No problems there with Steph. 31 points, 50% from the field. He shot the ball well from 3. Also, like 8 of 17. Like, what more can you possibly be asking Steph to do at this point? But yeah, Trace Jackson Davis, 19 points. Other than that, everybody sucked. Buddy Hield, 2 of 9 from 3. Taking some real bad ones out there. The Warriors as a team shot 28% from three-point range. That's despite Steph shooting nearly, 50% from 3, making 8 of 17. Like, they're just a bad team right now. They just suck. They need to make a move. If they don't make a move, they're clearly wasting a season of Steph Curry's career, which seems like they're more than comfortable doing, because I don't know if a move is imminent for them. That Schroeder move is not making one single bit of difference. He was a minus 13. He was 1 of 7 from 3. Not doing good. That doesn't seem like that's helping things at all. So we'll see what Golden State can do here. They've got a very crowded injury report, guys. Steph's on there. Schroeder's on there. Draymond Green is on there. Moody's on there. Podziemski's out. Kuminga's out. So we'll see what happens here, guys. I mean, Steph, he's questionable with that knee. Schroeder, he is questionable with his hip. Draymond, he's questionable also, guys. He's dealing with, that ankle injury. So we just don't know who's going to be available here for the Warriors. And looking at the numbers for this game, it looks like maybe most of these guys are going to end up sitting out, because they're going on the road to take on the Pistons, who are 19-18 on the season. They've actually won their last 5 in a row, but wins over the Nets, Blazers, Timberwolves, Hornets, and the very short-handed Magic. Not insane wins, but some decent ones mixed in there for sure. So got to give them some credit. In their blowout win over the Nets, a 15-point win, Malik Beasley continued to play great. Cade didn't have to do too much out there. He only played 23 minutes and was a +6, so no problem there. 15 points there from Sasser coming off the bench. He was a +18. And as a team, Detroit shot 40% from three-point range. So really loving what we're seeing from the Pistons right now. Looking at their injury report, we do see Asar Thompson, guys. He's dealing with an illness. He didn't play in that game on Wednesday, so we'll see if he plays here on Thursday. Obviously, being on a back-to-back situation, not the easiest thing to pull off, but there's a chance that he could do it, and we'll see. Dealing with an illness, he's a young guy. He could bounce back quick. So looking at the numbers here, guys, the Pistons are 3-point favorites, which makes me think a lot of these guys for the Warriors are going to end up sitting out. We've got a total here of 220.5. The Warriors 9-7 against spread on the road, 4-6 against spread with a rest advantage. Detroit 7-10 against spread at home, 4-2-1 against spread on no rest. They are 7-2 against spread when they have a rest disadvantage this season, and they're 7-10-1 against spread coming off of a win. Guys, we need more clarity here on the injury situation for the Warriors. But if we see Steph sitting out and Draymond sitting out, I'm ready to slam it here on the Pistons at -3. I know they just played last night. They played in Brooklyn. Going from Brooklyn to Detroit, not the craziest flight. So I'm not super worried about this travel spot. And, Detroit has shown they're, clearly able to make these tough travel games and, play well in them. And also they didn't play their starters very many minutes. The top minutes Beasley did play 33 minutes, but everybody else played 23, 26. Just not very minutes played there by the starters. So give me the Pistons here at -3 as soon as we get some clarity on the Warriors injury situation. Next on the docket, guys, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves going on the road to take on the Orlando Magic. The Timberwolves come into this game winners of their last 2 in a row. They just got a pretty narrow 7-point win there against the Pelicans. In Zion's return, well, it looks like they might be facing Paolo Banchero in his return in this game. So we'll see what Minnesota can do. They have won 2 in a row. They've been pretty competitive games, 19 and 17 on the year. Not really where Minnesota thought they would be. Didn't think they'd be losing games at the Pistons. They did keep things very close against the Celtics, so I'll give them some credit there. But Minnesota certainly not the team they were hoping to be this season, and a lot of that comes down to them losing that Karl Anthony Towns trade. We haven't seen very good stuff at all from Julius Randle this season. All the problems that he's had as a Knick have really raised their ugly heads here on the Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards' role has changed in a very negative way. DiVincenzo being in the starting lineup hasn't really made a huge difference. Mike Conley going to the bench, whatever. Maybe the bench is slightly better here, but not enough to make a huge difference. And Rudy Gobert out there trying to play offense looks absolutely lost as usual. So not loving what we're seeing from the Timberwolves. They are very healthy coming into this game as they go on the road to take on the Orlando Magic, who are 22 and 16 on the season, coming off a huge win there at Madison Square Garden, taking down the Knicks in a game where the Magic were very short-handed. The big news in this game, guys, is that they are going to have Paolo Banchero very likely coming back very soon. He's technically questionable for this game against the Timberwolves, but it sounds like he's going to be making his return here. He hasn't played since October 30th with that strained oblique. Looks like he's finally going to be back and ready to get after it. There's a chance he waits till Friday because this is the front half of a back-to-back, but what I'm seeing right now is indicating that he is going to play in this game. So keep a very close eye on that. It would be kind of disheartening if they suddenly switch that up on us, but the Magic have been playing great, guys, despite all these injuries. We see Suggs, guys, he's dealing with that continued back spasm issue. That was pretty brutal to see him wheeled off the court, but he should be back in the not too distant future. And other than that, guys, they've just been mixing and matching and finding ways to make it work. So look at the numbers here. The Magic are getting 3.5 points. We've got a total of 205.5. Minnesota 10-9 against spread on the road, 8-10 against spread after a win. They are 19 and 17 to the under. Orlando 11-6-1 against spread at home. They've been one of the better at-home teams in the NBA. They're 13 and 8 against spread after a win. They're also a big under team, 23 and 15 to the under. So a total here of 205.5 does seem kind of brutal to take the under, but that's the way the trends are pointing us. So if you're into an over-under play in this game, I guess I'd be on the under, but I really like the Orlando Magic getting 3.5 points in the spot. I think it's going to be a very close game. This is obviously under the impression that Paolo is going to be back for this one. They're definitely going to need him in this matchup, but I really don't love what I've seen from the Timberwolves. They are a little bit of a front-running team, so maybe they do, try and run it up here against the Magic, but this is not a team that lets you do that really. So giving the Magic here, getting points at home as a small lean. Next on the docket, we've got the Houston Rockets going on the road to take on the Memphis Grizzlies. The Rockets are 24-12 this season. They've won 3 out of their last 4 with wins over the Mavs, Lakers, and Wizards. They did lose in that blowout against the Celtics, so that wasn't a great look. They played really well against the Wizards, although that's pretty easy to do at this point. The Rockets are an interesting team this year. It'll be interesting to see if they try to make any moves to improve there at the trade deadline. When it was looking like De'Aaron Fox was going to be moved, they were one of the teams most, often mentioned in that idea, so we'll see if things happen there. But right now, pretty happy with how Houston's playing. They also come into this game pretty healthy. There's some weird drama swirling about Cam Whitmore. He seems pretty unhappy at times, but also like he can absolutely cook out there. He's done some great. He had 17 points in 18 minutes there against the Wizards. So I don't blame the kid for wanting some more playing time. Overall, this team is looking very good. They just need maybe some better guard play, some better point guard play or something like that. Fred VanVleet seems like he really gets outsized in some very important spots. So we'll see what happens there. They do come into this game very healthy. Amen Thompson's played well there in the starting lineup. Alperen Sengun has done some great things this season. So like what we're seeing from the Rockets, but they're in a tough spot. They're going on the road to take on the Memphis Grizzlies, who are 24-13 on the season. They're fresh off a comfortable 119-104 win over the very short-handed Mavs. They're not having the best time out there right now. The Grizzlies definitely have to be pretty happy with what they saw from Jaren Jackson Jr. 35 points in the game, 17 from Jalen Wells, 18 from Scottie Pippen Jr. A nice bounce back game for them, and a very good win in a game where they really didn't have their best players. So the question confronting us now is, will they have those guys in this one? Well, Jaren Jackson Jr., who had that nice game, guys, he's on the injury report with a thigh issue. He is questionable for this game against the Rockets, so we'll see if he's able to deal with it. Thigh soreness is what they're saying. It could keep him out of this game. It would be his first missed game since October 25th. Desmond Bane on the injury report as well, guys. He's currently dealing with an ankle injury, and I don't know if they're going to be rushing him back. He could be missing his second straight game here. The ankle sprain, I don't know. And we also see Ja on the injury report, guys. He's still dealing with that shoulder issue. Will he be back for this one? He's questionable. It seems like he might be getting close to a return, but we just don't really know if he's going to be back for this one or not. They're playing things very close to the chest in this game. So, we'll see. Still a very banged up team, guys. The Grizzlies are getting 2.5 points here. We've got a total of 230.5. Houston, 10-6 against spread on the road, 13-10 against spread after a win. Memphis, 14-5 against spread at home. That's an NBA best home mark. They're also 13-10 against spread coming off of a win. So this is a close one, guys. It's the very healthy Houston Rockets against the very banged up Grizzlies, who are at home for this game. To be honest, I'm leaning here a little bit towards the Rockets on the road, but I'm not putting this thing anywhere near the pinned comment until I get way more information here on who the Grizzlies are actually playing. If this ends up being a healthy Memphis team and it's close to a coin flip game, a pick 'em game, I'm going to be on Memphis at home. If, we see Ja and Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr. out, go ahead and slam it on the Houston Rockets. So this is a wait and see spot. Make sure you're checking back on that pinned comment because this one is very likely to end up in there one way or the other, but it's probably not going to be in there until, late in the afternoon or evening once we, have some actual clarity on these injury situations. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the Portland Trailblazers going on the road to take on the Dallas Mavericks. The Trailblazers come into this game fresh off a 19-point blowout win there against the Pelicans. Denny Avdija played amazing in this game. 26 points, 10 of 15 from the field for him. Just not a great showing there from the Pelicans. But yeah, the Blazers figuring things out. Anthony Simons, 17 points. He didn't have a huge fall off after his massive game. We saw the Blazers shoot 36% from three-point range, which is not terrible for them. Scoot having a pretty bad night from the perimeter. But what are you going to do? That kind of seems to just be the way it's going to be for him in his career. 11 points there from Ayton. A pretty nice night out there for Portland, although now they've got to play on back-to-back nights. So we'll see what happens with that. They did play some decent defense, slowing down guys like, there's nobody good that plays on the Pelicans. So we'll see what happens in this one, guys. Portland comes into it fairly healthy. At least that's what the injury report's looking like right now. Obviously, they did play last night, so we'll see, if things change over the course of this evening. But looks like Jeremy Grant and Donovan Clingan are probably both going to be out, but we could see more dudes pop up on this injury report as the day goes on. They're going up against the Mavs, who come into this one 21-16 on the season. They're fresh off of that crazy 118-97 win there against the Lakers. And yeah, a pretty impressive game there for the Mavs to come out and just dominate against the full-strength Lakers when Dallas didn't have either Luka or Kyrie. It appears that could be the case for this game as well, guys. Kyrie's still dealing with that bulging disc. He's going to be out at least, another week or two. So that's a pretty tough look there for the Mavs. The whole point of having Kyrie and Luka, maybe not the whole point, but a large part of the point was if one of them goes down, the other one can just lead the team. I don't think it was really in the plans for both of them to go down. But this squad does have some depth. Spencer Dinwiddie could be a starting level point guard in the NBA. He has been at other points in his career. Clay's done some positive things, although you've probably seen that, video circulating of him doing absolutely nothing on an entire defensive possession. That was pretty wild stuff, but I don't know, maybe just, unlucky or something. I don't know. We'll see, but they've got some depth as well. So we'll see what the Mavs can do here, playing, another game here without their superstars. They're going to have to find a way to keep their heads above water, but the odds makers are giving them a ton of respect. The Mavs are 7-point favorites here playing at home. We've got a total of 218.5. Portland, 9-1 against spread on the road. They're 3-1-1 against spread when playing on no rest. They're also 2-0-1 against the spread with a rest disadvantage this season. Dallas, 10-7 against spread at home, 3-3 against spread with a rest advantage. Guys, this is another one of those. Doesn't feel great. Feels kind of gross, but we're trying to make money here in the long run, and I think the money-making play in the long run on this one is most likely to take the Trailblazers and the points as long as we don't see them resting a bunch of players. So go ahead and give me Portland and the points in this one. I think it's going to be a big letdown experience for the Mavs. Their bench players, their second-unit players, after having such a crazy, crazy game there playing against the Lakers. Next on the docket, guys, we have a very interesting matchup between the Atlanta Hawks going on the road to take on the Phoenix Suns. The Hawks are only 19-18 on the year. They come into this game fresh off of that crazy 124-121 win there over the Utah Jazz, where Trae Young hit that actually longer than half-court shot, just absolutely nailed it to win the game. That's the Trae Young ice tray celebration, one of the best celebrations in the game, in my opinion, guys. That was a pretty sick shot, but it really shouldn't come down to something like that if you are a team that wants to be a legitimate playoff playoff team that's, playing against the tanking Utah Jazz. So we'll see if they can do a little bit better in this one. Obviously Trae Young having a nice game, but they had no answers for Markkanen. They also didn't have, their full squad out there. Obviously no Jalen Johnson. Definitely make things a little bit, not a little bit, drastically harder there for the Hawks. So in this game, we'll see if he's going to be back. It's not looking super duper promising. Yeah, he won't play in this game against Phoenix, guys. Still dealing with that shoulder injury. They want to get him healthy for the long run. And I guess I can't blame him too much. It's his third straight game missed, though, so that's not ideal. Other than that, Bogdanovic, he could be out for this game as well. No, he's probable, though, so there's still a chance, but looks like he's probably going to be back, dealing with that lower leg injury. He'll probably be on some sort of minutes restriction, but they only need him to play, 20 to 25, somewhere in there minutes, and that should be very helpful. So we'll see what they can do here going on the road to take on the Phoenix Suns, who are 16-19 on the year. They've lost 5 out of their last 6. They're coming off a 115-104 loss against the Charlotte Hornets. That cannot feel good for a team that had, high hopes for this season. The Bradley Beal situation is becoming quickly untenable. I don't think it's quite as bad as the Jimmy Butler situation, but I think it's getting kind of close because it's a mess, guys. He's getting paid way too much money to be way too bad at basketball, and also he has that no trade clause, which makes things even worse. So we'll see what they can do here down the stretch, but I'm not super high on the Suns right now. They do come into this game relatively healthy. Nurkic being in the second unit, Bradley Beal in the second unit, Royce O'Neal coming back would definitely give them a little bit of a boost, but I don't know that necessarily gets them over the top, and he won't be back yet. So things not looking super hot for the Suns, but the odds makers giving them quite a bit of respect. They're 4-point favorites here at home. We've got a total of 236.5. Atlanta 8-11 against spread on the road, 8-10 against spread after a win. They are 25-12 to the over this season, which is an NBA best mark to the over. The Suns, they're only 5-13 against spread at home, 9-9 against spread when they're coming off of a loss, which is much better than their normal season average. They're also a slight under team, so that kind of throws the over-under play out the window. I'm not super interested in going, over or under 236.5 in this game. I am interested, though, in the Hawks getting 4 points. Not super interested, though, guys. If they had Jalen Johnson back, this would be a different situation. I do think the Suns, obviously you've got Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Like, you've got some very talented pieces on this roster, so they should have a chance in this game for sure. Can they win this game by 5 or more? That seems like a bit of a stretch as well. So, guys, this one might honestly just be a stay-away spot for me. If you're begging me for a play on this game, I guess go ahead and give me the Suns -4 as a bounce back, but not a game that I'm interested in, being on in a meaningful way. Next on the docket, guys, we got the Miami Heat going on the road here to take on the Utah Jazz. Definitely a big Heat culture win. They're their last time out. They lost a double overtime game at the Sacramento Kings. The very next night, guys, they go into Golden State and get a 114-98 win there over the Warriors. Very gutsy stuff, guys. We saw Nikola Jovic have the the big game there for Miami, leading the team with 20 points off the bench. He was a +25. The Warriors bench is getting absolutely dominated out there. Bam had a nice night. He was a +18. Hero definitely had some fatigue going on, but he scored 14 points and was only a -2. Terry Rozier did some good things despite not shooting the ball particularly well. Jaime Jaquez had 18 points, and they managed to win this game despite getting beat on the boards and clearly being the much more exhausted team. And how could you possibly blame them for being exhausted in this game? Like, they had just played a double overtime game, then had to travel, albeit a short flight, but they still had to travel, and just crazy stuff there from the Heat. So a big time win there. They're dealing with the Jimmy Butler situation. That cannot feel great. He's obviously still suspended, and if he was out there, feels like he'd be actively sabotaging this team. That kind of seems what he's trying to do at the moment, but we'll see what goes on. Tyler Hero ready to go for this one. Bam ready to go for this one. So all the normal suspects here ready to go for the Miami Heat as they, head out on the road to take on the Utah Jazz, who come into this game 9-26 on the season. They're fresh off of what had to be a pretty disheartening loss. It looked like they had earned overtime there at that Colin Sexton 3, but ended up giving up that 3 to, Ice Trae, and he made it from more than half court. So hats off to him. They wasted a huge game from Markkanen, 35 points from him. Man, it would have been nice to see that guy in a Warriors jersey this season, huh? But not to be, apparently. Walker Kessler, a big day. Colin Sexton, a big day. Congratulations to Walker Kessler's girlfriend on winning Miss America or Miss whatever it was. But other than that, pretty good game out there from the Utah Jazz. They shot nearly 40% from three-point range, and they had a rebounding edge in that game. And just unfortunately for them, but maybe on a positive note for their franchise as they tank things out this year, they end up taking the loss. The Jazz come into this game still not looking healthy, guys. So we see Keontae George and John Collins there on the injury report. Jordan Clarkson as well. Keontae George, guys, he will not play in this game against the Heat with that heel injury. John Collins, he with that hip injury, he's been ruled out as well. And Jordan Clarkson, guys, he had an MRI on his foot on Monday, torn plantar fascia. He's going to be out for who knows how long. So things not looking super healthy there for the Jazz. Obviously, they've still got Colin Sexton, Markkanen, and Walker Kessler, so they've got a pretty decent core here in this game. The odds makers have them getting 5.5 points, though. We've got a total of 222.5. The Heat, 7-10 against spread on the road, 6-11 against spread after a win, so not looking great there. Utah, 6-9 against spread at home, 12-13 against spread after a loss. They're 19-15-1 to the over, and with the Heat showing trends towards the over as well in this game, guys, I think this might be a great spot to take over 222.5. I know we're missing some pieces there for the Jazz, so maybe they wouldn't be up to their normal offensive level, but I do think this is a good game to look at the over if you're desperate for an over-under play. I also think, you might want to take the Jazz getting the points here. We'll see. I don't know. I'd be banking on back-to-back good games from Markkanen and Sexton, and guys that are, definitely being instructed. I don't know if they're being instructed to tank, but you know how it is on these tanking teams, so we'll see what happens. I definitely think the over is the better play in this game. Last but not least, guys, we've got a very interesting matchup. We've got the Charlotte Hornets going on the road to take on the Los Angeles Lakers. The Hornets come into this game fresh off of a 115-104 win there over the Suns. They're only 8-27 on the season, so not like they're having an amazing time, but they're definitely doing some positive things out there. Now that they're healthy, guys, we see LaMelo Ball doing crazy stuff out there and having a very nice game, putting up 32 points. He was only 5 of 16 from 3, so not a very efficient shooting night. We liked what we saw from Miles Bridges for sure. Brandon Miller had a little bit of an off night, but the bench actually came alive, guys. Nick Richards continues to play well, a plus 23 for 15 points there. And yeah, despite, not having the best night shooting the ball, they managed to effectively dominate the boards and kind of dominate this game against the Phoenix Suns. So they're going to be trying to run it back and do something similar against the Lakers. Not exactly the same beast here, the Lakers aren't, but we'll see if Charlotte can pull it off. They are fully healthy coming into this game, so that means LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, all going to be out there and ready to go. Mark Williams, Nick Richards going to try and slow down Anthony Davis, see what they can do out there. That's a pretty tall task, but yeah, we'll see. They come into this game playing well for sure. The Lakers, on the other hand, they've lost 2 in a row and 3 out of their last 5. JJ Redick looks like he is trapped in like some sort of nightmare situation. He can't fathom these guys not trying on a nightly basis. Like, that's his whole MO as a short white guy, to get out there and play at maximum effort all the time. And that is just not what he's been able to get his team to do. So we'll see if he can motivate them here. See if losing a game 118-97 against the Mavs with no Luka and no Kyrie can motivate them. We saw LeBron do some cool stuff, but at the end of the day, he was a minus 12 and had 18 points, despite nearly posting a triple-double. Anthony Davis, 21 points, 12 rebounds is just not enough. There's just not enough on this team. Like, adding Dorian Finney-Smith, cool, he had 11 points. Dalton Knecht had 13. What more can you really ask from guys like that? They're not going to be amazing. Austin Reeves had a terrible night, a minus 25 out there. Like, they just kind of got dominated by a Dallas Mavericks team that was willing to play with much higher effort. So we'll see what they can do in this one. They come into this game looking relatively healthy. LeBron not even on the injury report, which is kind of surprising. Anthony Davis on there as always, but he is probable for this game with left plantar fasciitis. Like, all right, congratulations. I don't know why they got to put him on there every night. Seems a little silly to me, but we'll see what we get out of this game, guys. The Lakers are actually 9-point favorites. The odds makers really liking them here in this bounce back spot. We've got a total of 219.5. Charlotte 9-7 against spread on the road, 4-3 against spread after a win. They're also 23-12 to the under, which is shocking to me. They're the best team in the NBA to the under. The Lakers 10-7 against spread at home, 8-7 against spread after a loss, so they haven't been particularly great in these bounce back spots, and they're 20-16 to the under. So with a total here of 219.5 and trends pointing towards the under, guys, I wouldn't blame you for wanting to take a look at the under in this game, but it's not a spot that I'm necessarily in love with. I'm much more in love with taking the Charlotte Hornets here, getting 9 points, despite the fact they're playing on the road. Like I said, they've been a good against spread team on the road. Obviously, guys like LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller love to show out in these big-time, prime-time games against, elite opponents or, perceived elite opponents like the Lakers. So give me the Hornets here in this one to keep things very close. This might be my favorite against the spread spot of the entire day, and it's the game where we have the least amount of uncertainty in terms of injury news. That's all we've got for this one, guys. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. It keeps you updated on, new videos that are coming out every single day. Also, hitting that like button will really help me grow the channel, get these videos promoted to more people out there, and I really appreciate everyone that takes that split second to do that. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. I really, I get back to every single commenter. Even there's this one guy, you know who you are, he commented like 20 times. I answered every single one of those comments. So I really appreciate you watching. Take a minute there, click that like button. We'll see you guys very soon tomorrow for more sports betting action, and we've got NFL picks, NFL videos coming up this weekend very, very soon. So I'll be back here tomorrow. Hope I see you there.